Representative Greg Steube files a resolution to impeach Joe Biden. He's got a number of different crimes alleged: bribery, extortion, obstruction, fraud, financial involvement in drugs and prostitution from Joe. Here's Greg Steube announcing the articles of impeachment.
You laid out a great case for a number of different crimes, and you laid the factual predicate for those crimes. And tomorrow I intend on filing impeachment resolution on Joe Biden for bribery, for extortion, obstruction of justice, fraud, financial involvement in drugs and prostitution. All of these things, you just touched on the highlights of some of those, but we have all the facts and evidence now. And in the beginning of this Congress, Republicans wanted to make sure that we did the investigations, that we got the information before the American people. You have witness testimony, you have financial records, you have the laptop, you have text messages, you have phone conversations, you have all of this evidence now to corroborate and support impeachment articles against the president. And I intend on filing those tomorrow on all of these corruption and bribery charges that you just hit the top of the iceberg on.
Yeah, it's ongoing. It's all immense. It's all there. We know it exists. The Democrats keep saying that, no, there's no direct deposits. Okay, Donald Trump, no. Joe Biden never got direct deposits into his bank account. That it was not a check stub that was mailed to his home address or something like that. We know that's nonsense, that people get prosecuted for much less, but this is what the articles of impeachment look like. Impeaching Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. for his high crimes and misdemeanors. And they just keep coming. It's not all the past misconduct that Joe Biden has been involved in. He just allowed Merrick Garland to appoint an illegal special counsel to insulate and immunize the investigation that was already corrupted into his son. So the crimes just continue on. The cover-ups continue to mount. We know the FBI doesn't care. The DOJ doesn't care. They just created a fake scam plea deal that the judge had never seen, for which there was no precedent. And that's in a world where they're already under scrutiny. They just keep going. So enough already. We got to defund them. We've got to impeach them. Something needs to be done. We're at the end of the line here. What else are they going to do? Mr. Steube submitted the following resolution: impeaching Joe Biden for high crimes and misdemeanors. Says, be it resolved that Joe Biden, the president, so-called, impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, with these articles of impeachment now being exhibited to the United States Senate. They say the articles of impeachment exhibited by the House in the United States of America in the name of itself and the people of the United States. These are filed against Joe Biden, President of the United States, supporting his impeachment for high crimes and misdemeanors and felonies, in my opinion, which will stick under that category. Here's Article 1. Abuse of power, bribery, Hobbs Act, extortion, honest services fraud, all articulated. Robert Hunter Biden and James Biden sold access to then VP Joe Biden while he was in office from 2009 to 2017. And they sold promised access to a future Biden presidential administration when he was out of office from 17 to 21. Hunter and James appear to have promised official actions by Joe Biden in return for payments and business opportunities from foreign and domestic partners. Joe Biden assisted by making appearances, phone calls, meeting with business partners, knowingly allowing his family members to promise access to him and actions by him in furtherance of these schemes. Hunter threatened business partners that official actions could be taken against them if they did not meet terms or make payments. In at least one instance, Hunter implied that Joe was aware of these threats and willing to assist in enforcing the threats, potentially through official actions. We know there was the text message from Hunter: my daddy's sitting right here. If you don't make your payment, we're going to have repercussions. Hunter attempted to enrich himself and the Biden family by threatening official actions from his father, who he claims was willing to assist in these schemes. These acts are abuses of power, as well as the following federal crimes. Now, a lot of people for some time have been pointing to this, people especially on Fox News and other networks. Well, what crimes has he done? What crimes can you point to for Joe? Well, here are a couple. He's got them listed here. Federal crimes or conspiracies to commit the crimes. Bribery of public officials, 18 U.S. Code Section 201. Hobbs Act extortion under color of official right, 18 U.S. Code 1951. Honest services fraud relating to the use of official position, 18 U.S. Code 1346. According to reports released by the Oversight Committee, Biden's bro, James, promised access to a future Biden admin, including the highest levels of government, and that his brother, Joe, had been made aware of these dealings, and that it would be profitable to be a part of the Biden platform. James would often explain over the phone that Joe Biden was in the room with him, and James had been explaining the deal to him. Also, according to reports released by Oversight, Hunter, James, Hallie, an unknown Biden, and their companies collected $1.3 million in payments from accounts related to Rob Walker, a Biden family associate. On March 1, 2017, less than 2 months after VP Joe left office, state energy company from China, HK Limited, wired $3 million to Rob Walker's company. The next day, the company wired $1 million to a company associated with James Gilliar, another Biden family associate. Afterwards, guess what happened? The Biden family received $1 million in payments, the exact same amount, $1,065,000, over a 3-month period in a different bank accounts. So they get the payments and then they split them up. One goes here, one goes here, one goes here, one goes here. From the bank records, they reassemble them. This plus this plus this plus this equals $1,065,000. It appears the Biden family received approximately 1/3 of the money obtained from wires from China. Previously, in a 2011 email, Hunter described his value to Chinese investors as the following, quote, everything to do with my last name, which again is meaningless without his dad. The last name only means something because of Joe Biden. So you could basically replace this, everything to do with Joe Biden, my access to Joe Biden. In another correspondence with Chinese investors, Hunter said, we should be able to achieve a great deal. Just give me my marching orders, I'll take it to daddy. In 2014, Russian oligarch Alina Baturina paid a company connected to Hunter over $3 million. $3 million. Also, in 2014, Alina attended a dinner with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden in Georgetown. Notably, she's one of Russia's wealthiest individuals, and strangely, even though all of Russia has been sanctioned into oblivion, she has not been included in the Treasury Department's sanctions against other of many Russia's wealthiest people. Additionally, the Biden family received improper payments from Ukrainian energy company called Burisma. Hunter received millions of dollars in payments from Burisma, serving on its board. The payments were made entirely based on Hunter's connections to Joe and access to Joe. Then VP Joe attended a dinner in Georgetown of Washington, D.C. with Burisma executives. Strange, weird. What's he doing that for? At the time, Hunter was getting $80,000 a month from Burisma based on no other reason. He's got no energy experience in Ukraine. Several officials in the Obama administration specifically flagged these payments from Burisma to Hunter as corrupt. In early 2015, former acting deputy chief of Kyiv, George Kent, raised concerns to officials in Joe Biden's office about a conflict of interest because Hunter is on Burisma and Joe is the chief liaison to Ukraine. In 2015, senior State Department official Amos Hochstein raised concerns with VP Biden as well as Hunter that Hunter's position enabled Russian disinformation efforts and undermined U.S. policy in Ukraine. So Joe was on notice, man. He knew about this. He had officials warning him. In August 2023, Devon Archer, a business partner to Hunter, said claims that Joe Biden was not involved with Hunter's business deals were false. There's another witness. In testimony before Congress, Devon Archer admitted that Burisma would likely have gone out of business had it not been for the Biden brand being attached to it, and Biden was the liaison to Ukraine. He also testified that Biden was routinely put on conference calls with Hunter's foreign business associates to sell, quote, the brand. Now, according to testimony from IRS whistleblowers, this is Article 2, obstruction, members of the Biden campaign also colluded with the DOJ to improperly interfere with investigations into tax crimes alleged to have been committed by Hunter Biden. These acts are an abuse of power as well as obstruction of justice, violating U.S. Code 1518, 1505, 1510, and 1512. And we've seen some of these with Donald Trump. They say he's doing obstruction by not giving the documents back. They're obstructing justice by rigging plea deals for which there is literally no precedent, even by their own admissions. After Joe Biden became the presumptive Democrat nominee in 2020, career DOJ officials began stalling the Hunter investigations in Delaware, and that continued into the Biden administration. The DOJ took unusual steps like removing Hunter Biden's name from warrants and court filings to keep the whole thing secret. Uh-oh, our guy, we better protect him. Meanwhile, the DOJ will prosecute their enemies until the end of the earth. The DOJ refused to pursue search warrants or evidence contained at Joe Biden's guest house. No thanks, we're busy raiding Trump. DOJ refused to pursue search warrants in general against Hunter Biden, even though the legal requirements had been met. FBI, IRS agents prepared for interviews with multiple subjects, including Hunter, on December 8, 2020. These were to be unannounced most interviews where the agents just showed up and asked questions. FBI or DOJ officials, though, they tipped off Joe Biden's transition team. Hey, we're investigating you and your son. As a result, Hunter Biden's lawyer became involved, and most of the interviews did not proceed. They tipped everybody off. The Department of Justice also made decisions related to formal actions, like venue and filing charges, and related to internal review processes that were out of the ordinary during the case. The IRS whistleblower indicated these actions were unlike actions taken in any other case that he'd worked on. And Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler, they were both career guys. They've been there for a long time, worked on massive international cases. He indicated that these unusual steps began after Biden became the nominee because they really wanted him to win. Fraud in Article 3. James Biden, Joe's bro, recruited, quote, investors for business ventures that ultimately failed. There's evidence to suggest that these investment opportunities were sold to investors based on false and fraudulent pretenses and promises. Access to Joe and indications that Joe supported these schemes were used to lure investors into the schemes. And these acts constitute fraud or conspiracy to commit fraud in violation of U.S. law. Couple examples. In 2019, an American business called AmeriCorps Health partnered with James Biden to help lead the company and develop business through his political connections. AmeriCorps was in business of purchasing and improving the efficiency of rural hospitals. So James, Joe's bro, approached various businesses in the medical field around the country, said, hey, we can help your business. AmeriCorps Health is going to expand the size of what you're doing. According to one witness, James, Joe Biden's brother, allegedly promised both AmeriCorps and investors millions of dollars. He said they're going to be coming in from Middle East and Russia and China. But the business owners were cut out of the deals. James gained knowledge of their operations and cut them out. James deceived investors in an attempt to abscond with proprietary processes to enrich himself by delivering the information to his Turkish investors. And without the Biden brand, promise of access to Joe, or the appearance of Joe Biden's support of this venture, James Biden would not have been able to secure investors or business partners for this venture. Joe Biden routinely allowed and actively assisted the family in using his name and the promise of access to him to secure business for the fam. Furthermore, Biden mixed and commingled his finances with the rest of the family during this time period and likely benefited from the scheme. And here is commingled funds. Article 4, financial involvement in drug and prostitution activities. Joe and Hunter, long history of commingling and intertwining their finances. Between 2010 and 2019, thousands of dollars of Biden family money was spent on illegal drug transactions and prostitution. These acts constitute violations or conspiracy to violate drug and prostitution laws, many which are listed here under U.S. Code. 2010 emails between Hunter and his business associate Eric Sherwin reference Hunter paying bills on behalf of Joe Biden and managing Joe's finances. And he sent a letter. He says, I've been paying my daddy's bills for 30 years. 2008 text between Hunter and his daughter reference Hunter spending half his salary to Joe Biden and paying as much of the family bills. He's the bag man. There's more evidence. A 2018 text from Hunter references a shared bank account with Joe Biden. Oh, Hunter routinely received money from and sent money to Joe Biden, and both Hunter and Joe had their finances largely managed by Eric Sherwin, who would write checks from one Biden on behalf of the other Biden and routinely intermingled their finances. Between November 2018 and March 2019, a Florida student named Anna Decatur received $275,000 in payments, flagged as suspicious by a SARS report. The money came from 8 senders, including Hunter Biden's company called Owasco. Additionally, 2 of the other depositors were women that text messages found on Hunter's laptop suggest were prostitutes that he hired. Over $250,000 on one student? One Florida student? $274,000? Some of these funds were then sent to Moreva, a company that Hunter Biden paid to hire prostitutes. Between November 2018 and 2019, Hunter appears spent at least $30,000 on prostitutes. In December 2018, Hunter booked train tickets for 3 prostitutes for where he was staying. In 2018, Hunter tried to write off payments to prostitutes and sex clubs as tax deductions. Yeah, he was like going to a country club for business purposes. It's a networking expense. We're getting to know each other. In May 2018, Hunter wired a prostitute $25,000. He received a text from an ex-Secret Service agent who he and his father hired for private security asking about the transaction. The agent alerted Hunter. He says, I'm getting calls from DC about the transaction and that there is a link to your daddy's account, Hunter. Hunter, on numerous occasions, admitted to routine drug use between 2010 and 2018. Numerous images, videos, including using drugs that his daddy put people in prison for 5 years. His drug use necessitated the routine purchase of large dollar amounts of illegal drugs. In a recorded phone call between Hunter and Hallie, his sister-in-law turned lover, absolutely bizarre, drug purchases were discussed and strategized. In other electronic communications, previous drug purchases are referenced. And now, given the intermingled finances of Joe and Hunter, Joe financially supported and should have been aware of these drug transactions and prostitution transactions. Many of these transactions have occurred using accounts with a nexus to Joe. In all of this, Joe Biden has undermined the integrity of his office, has brought disrepute on the presidency, has betrayed his trust as president, and has acted in a manner subversive of the rule of law and justice to manifest injury of the people of this country. And whereas Joe Biden, by such conduct, warrants impeachment and trial, the removal from office, and the disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. Articles of Impeachment, the resolution filed by Gregory Steube in the House of Representatives. And you see here, I think, a very compelling case of high crimes and misdemeanors. Many different criminal statutes articulated, a bunch of conduct articulated, conduct that is much more concrete and articulable than anything that we've seen in the Jack Smith January 6th indictment. Clear evidence of clear crimes. Joe Biden absolutely knew, or should have known, is the standard, and did. Showed up at dinners, showed up at meetings, showed up on speaker phone calls. We know that his current DOJ is actively obstructing the law in violation of what his oath of office requires him to do. And so this is, I think, good evidence. The question is, will other Republicans get on board? Or what else are they going to need to see? We know that the standard refrain from the left is that they need to see direct deposits, that this needs to just be something where there's like spreadsheets that show dates and transactions, and Joe Biden goes up to an ATM machine and he's pulling out crack money from Hunter. We don't expect that to happen at all. There's plenty here. Here's Jonathan Turley agreeing.
And now your dad is president. Here's Jonathan Turley.
We've heard this drumbeat recently that the media is now acknowledging that, sure, Hunter Biden was selling influence and access, but it was an illusion. There's no proof that Joe Biden got an envelope full of money or a direct deposit to his account. Therefore, there's nothing here. Democrats have constantly said, stop asking questions because you don't have that type of direct evidence of benefits. Well, that's just ridiculous. All of these payments benefit Joe Biden. It's going to the Biden family fund. You know, Joe Biden is 80 years old. He's worth at least $8 million. He's not going to spend that. People at his age, his wealth, are largely preoccupied during these days with leaving a legacy for their children, for their grandchildren. This was a great benefit in that sense.
It is a total scam. They know what they're doing. They are gobbling up money, trading on his name, just like the other politicians have done. And he should be impeached. The Democrats keep demanding more and more and more and more. We'll see if this is enough for the Republicans to do anything about it as we continue to cover.